Everybody good?
Oh, you put that thing on the wall.
We do it here on Saturday. This is with us, man. Thank you. I love you.
Say the name Jay-Z, and instantly it conjures power, wealth, and a career that seems untouchable. He's the architect of a hip-hop empire, the first rapper to cross into billionaire status, the husband of Beyoncé, and the force behind Roc Nation. For years, his image has been bulletproof, set apart from the scandals and downfalls that swallowed so many others. Jay-Z has always stood above the chaos, painted as the one who could never be touched.
Put your fellas on. Put your rock.
There's only one person.
Oh, go on.
And I call him Sean. That's Jay-Z. We call each other Sean.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody else could call me Sean.
He's the only person who's Sean approved.
There's not a single person that
outside
should be,
of family.
That should be outside of my mother.
Okay,
that should be calling me. Yeah, they should be calling me Sean.
But tonight, the story feels different. For the first time, whispers aren't staying whispers. They're transforming into full-blown accusations. The FBI, long believed to have its sights locked on Sean Diddy Combs in connection to Tupac Shakur's Vegas shooting, is now circling another name, a name no one ever expected: Jay-Z. Hip-hop's golden king, Diddy's closest ally, the man once thought untouchable. Suddenly, he's being spoken of as a second prime suspect. The very idea sends shockwaves through the industry. How could the billionaire mogul, the empire builder, now be pulled back into the dark shadows of September 1996?
Man charged in Tupac Shakur's speaking out from behind bars for the first time. Dwayne "Keefe D. Davis insists he was 300 miles away when the rapper was shot. Now he's pointing the finger at someone else. Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katursky has this ABC News exclusive.
The death of rap legend Tupac Shakur nearly 30 years ago became one of the nation's most notorious unsolved. Then, in 2023, a breakthrough when prosecutors charged this man with ordering the hit. The only person arrested for Shakur's, who now tells ABC News authorities have the wrong man.
I'm innocent. I ain't killed nobody, never did ever kill nobody. They don't have no evidence against me. Came and put me in Las Vegas.
61-year-old Dwayne "Keefe D. Davis claims that on the night of September 7th, 1996, the night Tupac Shakur was gunned down, he wasn't in Las Vegas at all, but back in Los Angeles, nearly 300 miles away from the crime scene.
Prove that I orchestrated this. You know what I'm saying? Your key witness orchestrated this. They top witness is the lead suspect.
The defense is pointing the finger elsewhere at Reggie Wright Jr., a former police officer and security chief for Suge Knight, the record mogul who was behind the wheel of the car Tupac rode in the night he was shot. Wright has firmly denied any involvement, saying, "It bothers me because I was responsible for possibly protecting this young man." Meanwhile, prosecutors argue the spotlight should remain on Davis, pointing to his own words. In both his 2019 memoir, Compton Street Legend, and a recorded on-camera interview, Davis openly incriminated himself.
You said the shots came from the back. Who shot Tupac?
The keeper for the code of the streets. It just came from the backseat, bro.
Davis now insists that his earlier confessions tying him to the shooting weren't genuine at all. He claims they were made under pressure and for profit. According to him, he didn't even write his own memoir, but was fed details by police.
I shouldn't have said nothing. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have said nothing. And I'm innocent, man.
Prosecutors have refused to address Davis's latest claims directly, maintaining instead that their case is solid and a conviction is within reach. Tupac Shakur remains one of the best-selling rap artists in history, with more than 75 million albums sold, most of them posthumously, fueled by iconic hits like California Love. Davis's arrest comes after decades of speculation and fan-driven theories that the fatal attack on Shakur was born out of the fierce rivalry between East Coast and West Coast rap.
Being held against my will, I'm supposed to be out there enjoying my twilight. God got my back, and God will see me through this.
The judge has not yet weighed the defense's claim of a different suspect, and right now, Diane Davis is scheduled for trial in February. Diane?
Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katursky, thank you.
Even the internet is digging up old receipts like the infamous elevator incident with Solange, Beyoncé's sister, who was caught on camera swinging at Jay-Z. Fans didn't intervene, didn't defend him, and didn't seem to care. To many, it now feels like proof that Jay-Z was never quite as untouchable as he made himself out to be. The real bombshell is the new evidence being whispered about. Reports suggest Jay-Z wasn't just a bystander watching Diddy pull the strings. He may have been an active accomplice, helping orchestrate the very setup that ended Tupac's life. In those days, at the height of the East Coast-West Coast feud, fear and paranoia hung heavy in the air. Jay-Z wasn't yet the global mogul he is today. He was still on the rise, standing shoulder to shoulder with Diddy and stepping into the void left behind after both Biggie and Tupac were gone.
I feel like this. I feel that the last word is always God. But Pac saved my life. The reason why I say Pac saved my life, I got shot in the head, I got grazed some other places, but I still got the bullet in my head. It's still there. But for as trying to get him to the hospital, didn't make me realize that I was shot. Because usually when you get shot in the head, the first thing the person do is panic. You know, bam, I'm shot in the head, I'm about to die, you know. And once you do that, you can't drive nowhere. My whole thing was, Pac, he was shot. I'm like, you shot? I'm gonna get you to the hospital. I'm driving, telling him I'm gonna get to the hospital, kick back. Pac looked at me and said, you know what? You need the doctor more than me, you the one shot in your head.
And here's where things turn chilling. If even part of these allegations holds truth, then the bond between Jay-Z and Diddy, the most celebrated brotherhood in modern hip-hop, may not have been built on music, money, or loyalty at all. It may have been rooted in something far darker. Imagine it, a pact of silence so strong it's lasted nearly 3 decades. For years, the industry admired how Jay and Diddy never wavered, never cut ties, even as others fell out. But what if that wasn't friendship? What if it was survival? 2 young moguls, not yet crowned, realizing their futures depended on protecting each other's secrets. That would explain why, as scandal after scandal circled Diddy, Jay never flinched, never turned his back, never let the bond crack in public. Maybe it wasn't just loyalty keeping them together. Maybe it was the need to guard something far darker than anyone ever imagined.
2020, y'all. Yeah. And it's different than when it was 2016. You know, the game has been elevated. As we can tell, there's no expense being spared. We had a black billionaires.
Even Wendy Williams once hinted at it, questioning whether Jay-Z had a hidden side the world was never meant to see. Now, with the whispers growing louder, that question feels more urgent than ever. The whispers aren't whispers anymore. They've become a chorus. People are saying the bond between Jay-Z and Diddy wasn't just friendship, and it wasn't just business. It was a blood oath. A vow so deep that betrayal was never an option, no matter the cost. An oath to seize hip-hop's throne together, no matter what secrets had to remain buried. And here's the most chilling thought. What if that oath wasn't just metaphorical? What if this pact of silence was the very key that unlocked the billions, the mansions, the platinum plaques, and the powerful corporate empires? If that's true, then hip-hop's 2 most powerful moguls didn't rise on talent and hustle alone. They climbed to the top on the ashes of a rivalry that had already claimed its brightest star.
New lawsuit coming with Jay, the part with Jay. I go, oh shoot, like
To us, black excellence, right?
that had to be there.
We getting tighter, you know what I'm saying? And united we stand, and ain't nothing else.
Black excellence, they're sitting there like, yeah. It's the billionaire brunch.
Oh,
Like,
I hate you, man.
unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm gonna be with you is this year. Yeah. Come on, bro.
Look at the timing. Tupac was gone by September 1996. Just months later, Jay-Z's career took a sudden turn, no longer just another hustler, with mixtapes buried under bigger names. Suddenly, he was stepping into the spotlight, filling the massive void Tupac's absence had left. But here's the catch. FBI files suggest Jay's rise wasn't simply luck. The whispers claim he may have had a role in the machinery that pushed the feud into deadly territory. Kefe D, the gang figure who admitted to organizing the drive-by, has been talking to federal agents. And when a man with nothing left to lose starts talking, names tend to spill out like loose change. The real question is, what if one of those names was Jay-Z?
I'm innocent. I ain't killed nobody, never did ever kill nobody. They don't have no evidence against me. Came and put me in Las Vegas.
Others have hinted at even darker connections, suggesting some people fear being exposed in those infamous freak-off tapes or being linked to Diddy's private sessions. They don't want that reach to ever hit the public eye. And if that's true, it adds an entirely new and disturbing layer to this conspiracy. This revelation turns their so-called friendship upside down. For decades, we've seen Jay-Z and Diddy side by side, inseparable at those all-white Hamptons parties, raising glasses at Rock Nation brunches, smiling for the cameras as the kings of hip-hop. But were they really celebrating loyalty, or were they celebrating survival? Look closer, and their bond feels less like friendship and more like two men chained together. Because if one goes down, the other sinks with him. That isn't loyalty, that's shared guilt. When you start connecting the dots, the paranoia surrounding both men begins to make sense. Jay-Z always kept his interviews guarded, his tone shifting the moment the past was mentioned. He built an image of absolute control, every move, every appearance, carefully curated. Diddy, on the other hand, masked himself with flamboyance and larger-than-life empire building, though flashes of volcanic rage slipped through the cracks. It's as if every deal, every performance, every empire move wasn't driven by pure ambition, but by fear. Fear that the truth from that night in Vegas might one day surface and shatter the pact wide open.
That's what happened with Hov. So Hov, 90, first album, Reasonable Doubt, he's on some lyrical shit, trying to show this.
I'm with you.
Biggie had the commercial success. That's 96. 96, now here comes the 97 album, In My Lifetime, Volume 1. Now, who's the biggest artist in the world? Big. So Jay does, that's his shiny suit era. He does Sunshine. Him and Dane walk around with the bright suits on in the video. Sunshine, he making the songs with the girls and everything. Yeah. Because that was working. And then he just felt like he felt stupid chasing Puff. So he goes and does the streets, just watching mixtape street shit. That got him back on fire in the streets. Then he comes with Hard Knock Life. Blueprint. Jay-Z meeting Kanye and Just Blaze was when he blazed his own point, his own lane, and became that.
And here's where it gets truly chilling, the timing of Diddy's downfall. As lawsuits piled up, as Homeland Security raided his mansions, and as charges of exploitation and racketeering landed him behind bars, most people thought they were witnessing the fall of just one man. But take a step back, and a bigger picture begins to emerge. If Diddy goes down, Jay-Z can't walk away untouched. Why? Because the evidence doesn't end with Diddy, it stretches like a shadow, binding the two together for decades. And if Diddy's empire collapses under courtroom testimony, Jay's carefully polished image could shatter just as fast.
Saved my life, man. We're Sagittarius is Tupac. Thank you so much.
The loyalty that once made them appear untouchable now feels more like a rope tightening around both of their necks. And so the forbidden question surfaces again. Was Jay-Z's rise to power truly built on talent and hustle, or was his throne in hip-hop paved by a silence so heavy, so dark, that it shadowed every step of his career? If that's the case, then the culture he represents wasn't built on rhymes or ambition, it was built on betrayal and secrets never meant to see daylight. That's what makes it haunting, the whispers of a blood oath, the FBI files linking Jay-Z to the same crime now threatening Diddy's freedom, the suspicious timing of Jay's career shift. It all circles back to one chilling possibility. Maybe Tupac's final night wasn't about a single mogul pulling the strings. Maybe it was about two future billionaires forging a silent pact, sealing their destinies together in a deal so dark it could never be spoken of. And now, nearly 30 years later, that silence is finally beginning to crack.
A huge victory for Jay-Z and Diddy, actually, as a lawsuit has been dropped against them. This was a lawsuit that got a lot of headlines because you remember this was filed back in December. The accuser said she was just 13 at the time that, as she put it, Diddy and Jay-Z at a VMA after party back in 2000. Well, that lawsuit is no more. She voluntarily filed to dismiss it today.
The timing of Jay-Z's rise has always raised eyebrows. Tupac was gunned down in September of '96. Just 3 months later, Jay's second album dropped, this time with a much bigger budget, stacked with big-name features, and backed by a serious marketing machine. By 1997, when Biggie's own assassination shook the industry, Jay-Z was stepping into the very space those legends had left behind. Coincidence? Or did the absence of rap's two most powerful voices clear the runway for him to finally take flight? People forget now, but his debut didn't make the impact Rockefeller had hoped for. Then, after Vegas, Jay's career didn't just climb, it skyrocketed with an eerie inevitability that had people whispering if something else was at play. Suddenly, radio stations pushed his songs to the front of the line. Club DJs couldn't stop spinning him. Labels started treating him like the future of the culture almost overnight. Was this the natural progression of talent, or the direct result of removing his biggest obstacles? From the late 90s onward, Jay's ascent was unstoppable. Albums sold, features dominated. Business ventures multiplied. His empire expanded faster than anyone expected. But if all of that success was born from the silence of that September night, then maybe it wasn't just talent that carried him, it was shadows. And this wasn't only about timing. Look at how the case itself was handled. Reports suggest the FBI had names, testimonies, even confessions as early as 2008. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis openly admitted to handing over the murder weapon, admitted he was in the car, even claimed Diddy offered $1 million for the hit, yet nothing happened. Why? If one mogul was implicated and whispers tied another to the center, were powerful forces keeping the trail cold. Consider the stakes. We're talking billion-dollar industries, world tours, clothing lines, television networks, entire empires built on the backs of men who may have been complicit in one of hip-hop's darkest nights. Would the government really risk destroying two of its most bankable figures at the height of rap's global takeover? Or was it easier to let the truth rot behind sealed files? Today, one suspect sits behind bars. Diddy faces federal detention on racketeering and exploitation charges. And now, Jay-Z's name drifts into the same conversations, yet he remains free, wealthy, untouchable. Viewed through this lens, Jay's lifelong silence begins to look less like professionalism and more like survival. He rarely spoke about Tupac or Biggie, steering clear of those subjects entirely. Was it caution or self-preservation? Meanwhile, Diddy leaned into extravagance, wild parties, non-stop ventures, flamboyant distractions, anything to bury the darkness underneath. Two different strategies, one shared goal: keep the pact intact.
Not entertain none of this and nothing over the phone. I'ma need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes. The what? All the boxes left over from the pizza. All the boxes. Okay. Make sure you recycle the plastic like we talked about. Yeah. Did Jay reach out yet? Nah, Pop. He ghosting. Yeah, watch. This doing. These things sweet. I'm in here.
Jay-Z reach out.
You about to get out on bail.
Jay-Z ain't answering the phone?
He ain't answering the phone.
One insider once claimed that if the full truth about Tupac's murder ever surfaced, at least 15 more names would fall with it, names all tied back to the same two men, a father and a son. Silence, it seems, always comes with a price. For years, people have pointed to Jay-Z's lyrics, where themes of loyalty, betrayal, and survival circle like vultures. It's as if he's speaking not just to rivals or critics, but to ghosts that never left his side. Fans still dissect his verses, convinced the metaphors hide more than he ever meant to reveal. When an artist obsesses over trust and paranoia, the question lingers: is he fighting enemies outside or demons within? Diddy's story unfolded differently, but with the same haunting undertones. His life became a stage for excess lavish parties, bold ventures, endless expansions. On the surface, it was empire building. Beneath it, maybe empire protecting. He lived loudly, projecting power and drowning the silence in spectacle. But behind the shine, the fractures were always visible. Explosive tempers, sudden clashes. A restless drive that bordered on mania. To some, it felt less like ambition and more like fear. Fear of stillness, fear of quiet. Because in the quiet, there are no flashing lights, no champagne showers, no cameras to distract. In the quiet, only the past remains.
Jay-Z and Diddy share a very close bond. Diddy recently revealed that only 2 individuals can call him by his birth name, Jay-Z and his mother. But Cassie and the record producer's accusations against Diddy have cast shadows over their relationship. Because Diddy seems like the new Epstein. Jay-Z faced scrutiny over his alleged romantic involvement with Foxy Brown, who was just 15 years old at the time of signing her.
Allegedly a romantical thing. It's all right, I'll say alleged, but we know. Yeah, she hit it before Beyonce.
Allegedly, Jay-Z orchestrated this relationship in exchange for a Hollywood career, even paying her hush money. Jay-Z's longtime friend and former business partner, Dame Dash, allegedly confirmed the truth. So in this tangled web of fame and secrecy, Jay-Z and Diddy find themselves at a crossroads. So in case you didn't know,
the longer their careers are followed, the more patterns of overcompensation begin to emerge. Jay-Z became the ultimate strategist, meticulous in business, precise in image, every move rehearsed down to the last detail. Vulnerability was rarely allowed to slip through. It was as if he knew discipline was his only survival tool, because even the smallest crack might invite questions he could never answer. That kind of precision builds empires. But it also betrays the anxiety of a man constantly guarding a fragile truth. For Diddy, control looked different. His was domination. Employees, collaborators, even friends described being pulled into his orbit, pressured into choices that served him alone. In recent years, lawsuits painted the picture of a man who demanded compliance at any cost, treating his empire less like a business and more like a fortress against betrayal. Paranoia doesn't just breed caution, it can twist power into something dangerous. And when someone is rumored to be tied to something as dark as Tupac's assassination, aggression begins to look less like personality and more like survival. At one point, critics didn't even bother with allegedly. They went straight for the accusations. Some called Sean Carter a manipulator, saying pimping wasn't bad enough, claiming he aimed to strip credibility from real gangsters in Houston. Even in their rare moments of honesty, both men seemed weighed down. Jay-Z's confessions about past mistakes are always vague, never specific, but they land heavy like he's talking about something bigger than music industry feuds. Diddy, in his rarest quiet moments, lets regret flicker through before snapping back into bravado. Maybe those slips mean nothing, or maybe they're glimpses of guilt that's been following them since the 90 seconds. And that's the tragedy. Even men who seemed untouchable can't escape the weight of their own choices. If they did share responsibility for Tupac's last night, then every #1 hit, every sold-out tour, every champagne-soaked celebration has been haunted by that secret. The paranoia, the cryptic hints, the erratic decisions. These aren't just celebrity quirks. They may be echoes of a pact that chained 2 of hip-hop's most powerful figures to a past that refuses to let them rest. One of the most shocking claims goes even further, alleging that Sean Carter himself enlisted Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane, supposedly as punishment for rejecting him, and as a way to clear the path for Beyonce.
Hundreds of thousands, millions of followers every day. And she still hasn't said anything, just pretending like life is great in Paris.
Is it her place to say so?
I mean, probably not, considering she's gonna be indicted for anything she would say. These Diddy is a dealer, and so is Jay-Z. The proof is there.
Now, with one half of that pact already fighting for his life in court, the pressure on the other only grows heavier. Hidden witnesses could resurface, suppressed files could leak. And a single confession from Keith D or another insider could blow the entire story wide open. That's why whispers of Jay-Z being a second suspect don't just sound sensational, they sound dangerous. Because they carry the power to completely rewrite everything we thought we knew about hip-hop's history. The chilling possibility is this: the legacies of two moguls, two billionaires, two cultural icons may never have been clean. Behind the polished suits, the magazine covers, the halftime shows, maybe there's always been a secret stitched into silence. If even part of this is true, then the cost of their empire wasn't just rivals outmaneuvered or contracts signed. It was blood spilled on the Vegas Strip, buried under decades of silence, protected by institutions that valued power and money over justice. And maybe the most haunting question is this: if the silence finally breaks through leaks, testimonies, or desperate plea deals, who actually survives? What else could Jay-Z be hiding? Could the very foundation of modern hip-hop's power structure collapse with just one more witness stepping forward? At the end of the day, it's up to you to decide. Was Jay-Z's empire built on pure brilliance, or is there a secret past waiting to explode? Because no matter how carefully it's been buried, truth always has a way of coming to the light. So what do you think? Could these whispers really shake hip-hop's biggest names? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, share this with a friend, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.